There's a script inside your mind. You didn't write it, you didn't choose it, but you live by it every single day. It tells you who you are, what you can have, who you can love, and how far you're allowed to go. You think you make choices, but most of the time, the script chooses for you. This script is invisible. You can't see it. You can only feel it. As hesitation, as fear, as a quiet voice that says, "Don't try. It won't work." That voice isn't yours. It's the voice of conditioning, a collection of words written by experience, repetition, and pain. When you were a child, you absorbed everything. Every word from your parents, every look of disappointment, every praise, every silence. And slowly, your mind began to write a story. Psychologists call this core scripting. It's how your subconscious creates identity. If you were told you were smart, your mind wrote, "I must always be perfect." If you were told you were difficult, it wrote, "I'm hard to love." If you were ignored, it wrote, "I must stay quiet to stay safe." Each experience, a sentence, each memory, and a paragraph. Until one day the story wasn't just on paper, it was you. Your subconscious became a living script, and every choice you make now is a line from it. Here's the illusion. You believe you're the author of your life, but most of your reactions, your emotions, your habits, your fears were written long before you ever questioned them. When you flinch at rejection, that's not logic, that's memory. When you hesitate to speak up, that's not shyness, that's a line from the past. You are reciting, not deciding. And the mind is a brilliant actor. It plays its role perfectly until awareness interrupts the performance. The real power isn't in rewriting the script immediately, it's in noticing it. Because awareness is the pen that edits the story. You ever notice how the same situations keep happening to you? The same kind of relationships, the same emotional endings, the same mistakes dressed in new faces. That's not bad luck. That's your script repeating itself again and again until you learn the lesson it's trying to teach. Psychology calls it repetition compulsion. It's the mind's strange way of seeking healing through familiar pain. You keep attracting what you haven't resolved because your subconscious would rather feel something known than something uncertain, even if that known hurts you. And every time you repeat the loop, the script grows bolder, more confident, more permanent, until one day you don't even question it, you just live it. But here's the secret, the script doesn't want you to know. You can change it, not by force, not by pretending, but by understanding, because once you see the words, you can choose different ones. When you hear your mind whisper, "You're not good enough," pause and ask, who wrote that line? Was it a parent, a teacher, a memory of failure, a moment of shame? When you find the author, you find the origin. And when you find the origin, you regain control. Every moment of awareness is an edit. Every time you challenge an old belief, you're rewriting a page. And slowly the story changes. The mind loves repetition, so teach it new lines. Instead of "I always fail," write "I learn quickly." Instead of "No one understands me," write "I speak honestly, and the right people will listen." Instead of "I'm broken," write "I'm still healing." And that's strength. You don't erase the past, you evolve it. Because healing isn't deleting the old script, it's writing beyond it. And that's when your subconscious becomes your ally, not your enemy. How to Take Back Control from the Negative Script in Your Head by Catherine Ray. Want more posts like this in your life? Join the Tiny Buddha list for daily or weekly insights. You don't have to control your thoughts, you just have to stop letting them control you. Dan Millman. I'd love to say I had an eat, pray, love moment where, sitting sobbing in the bathroom, I received divine guidance to leave my husband and go traveling the world, eating amazing food. But sadly, it wasn't quite that profound. It was more a long series of nights sobbing in the bathroom, looking at myself in the mirror and concluding, "You're broken." I wasn't depressed and hadn't been for a long time. My anxiety, a lifelong companion, was under control. So what was wrong? A general feeling of discontent, a lack of energy and enthusiasm to do more, a loss of my spark, a quietening and turning inward, and these overwhelming onslaughts of negativity and tears whenever I felt criticized or something went wrong, which was often a sense of resentment and frustration that I'm sure ensured those around me felt less inclined toward being loving and giving me the care that I needed. So all those nights in the bathroom crying didn't lead me to any insight, but thankfully the universe did send me guidance in other ways. Someone posted a video to a Facebook group I was part of by a guy named Richard Wilkins. It was called My Fuck It Genes. Richard is well in his 60s, yet here he was making a Facebook video about how he doesn't let his age dictate how he feels, acts, dresses, or his enjoyment of life. He doesn't worry about others' opinions or society's views of how someone his age should be, but instead lives true to himself and has never been happier. And here I was in my early 30s, feeling wiped out and like my spark for life had been put out before I'd even realized I had one. Over the next year, I followed Richard on Facebook and was drawn to drive one fateful Saturday morning to Northampton to his recharge day. Richard always says, "The reason you are there is never the reason you are there." This certainly proved true for me. I thought I was there to find out if the course would help my husband, but after I cried myself through the first half of the morning, I quickly realized I needed to be there for me. "You are not broken." Richard's words cut into my thoughts. Did I hear him right? Did he say I'm not broken? Did I dare to believe that? And how did he know that's how I felt? There were over 200 people in the room. Was it possible that some of them also felt broken? If so, was it likely that I was the only one who really was? It was this question that led me to turn up on Richard's front doorstep a few months later to attend a 5-day Broadband Consciousness BC course with him and his partner Liz, and 7 other strangers who have now become friends. For the next 5 days I shared things I'd not shared with anyone before. Then I shared more. I listened and didn't jump in with advice. I made no plan for what I must do when I got back from the course. I didn't look at my phone. I struggled. Then I had a breakthrough. Then I struggled harder. I spoke up when I did and found others had the same struggles. I supported others and they supported me in return. I woke up easily and full of energy. I laughed. I cried. I ate lots of biscuits and didn't care. I felt like a very heavy weight had been lifted from my back. I felt like life didn't have to be so damn hard anymore. I learned a way of separating that negative voice in my head, which BC calls the script, from the real me. I learned that the script is anything that doesn't serve me, and I would not choose. I learned to recognize the real me. I learned that the script is just thoughts based on incorrect beliefs, and that they are not true. I learned that if I'm not choosing my experiences, my actions, and my feelings, the script will choose for me. I learned that it's not necessary to listen to, analyze, or try to change the script. All I need to do is recognize when it is the script talking and not me, and not believe it, and not act on it. And I learned this not from talking about myself, but from witnessing other people and the script in their heads, because guess what? The script told them they were broken too, and useless, and they always get it wrong, and they are fat and ugly, and they are not good enough, and they are not loved, and on and on. We were literally all reading from the same script. Since returning from the course, the impact has stayed with me and grown. After over 30 years of listening to the script, for every month I spend not believing it, I get to know the real me more and ignore the script more easily. So how can we all take steps to turn away from the script and tune into our true selves? First off, you have to recognize the script and be open to the possibility that what it's saying isn't true. In fact, make it your job to discredit the script, to prove what it's saying to be fake news. Remember that time it said you were dying because you were having a panic attack? Not true. What about the time it said you couldn't do that thing, but then you did it? Yup, it was lying. Oh, this is a good one. How about that time it said you were worthless and no one would hire you? Ho, ho, ho. Once you recognize the script, you will be surprised by how many times it pops up. One day you'll wake up and realize that the voice that once controlled you has become silent. Not because it's gone, but because you stopped listening. You became the author again. The script inside your mind was never your destiny. It was only your draft. And every breath you take is another chance to write a better story. Your mind isn't your enemy. It's your blank page. Pick up the pen and begin again.